bill is introduced and approved by the Senate. From there, it is routed to the House of Representatives, where it's also approved. From there, it makes its way to the President, who reviews it and signs it into law. The law, however, is challenged by some being unconstitutional, so it's reviewed by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court reviews it, finds it is in fact legal, and it becomes law. That's a basic example of how our government is designed to work. What we're going to be talking about today is a breakdown of the federal government, including the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, and some of their functions that some of their functions that keep the government running. Let's begin with the executive branch. According to WhiteHouse.gov, the executive branch consists of the President, Vice President, the Cabinet, and the Executive Office of the President. Power of the executive branch is executed by the President. The President is also our head of state and acts as our commander-in-chief of our military. Vice President is first in line of succession in the event of the death or incapacity of the President. He also resides over the Senate and is the tie-breaking vote in the event of a deadlock. Cabinet is an advisory panel of 15, the heads of 15 of the 15 executive departments. They are chosen by the President and confirmed by the Senate. The executive office of the President was commissioned in 1939 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. They have many functions, but the most notable of which are the Press Secretary's Office and the National Security Council. Now, to talk about the executive branch, remember about the legislative branch. According to Wikipedia.com, the legislative branch is made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate. House of Representatives has 435 members, which are distributed to the 50 states based on state population. They have a few interesting functions. Their most important job is writing and passing laws. They have a few interesting responsibilities. All law that comes from that deals with raising revenue must originate there. Congressmen on the House and the House of Representatives serve two-year terms and must live in a state in which they were elected. Another interesting fact about the House is that all impeachment proceedings must originate with them. The Senate is comprised of 100 members, 2 for each state, regardless of the state's population. Senators are elected on 6-year terms, with approximately 1/3 of the Senate being elected every 2 years. The Senate must confirm all nominations for the Cabinet and other key federal departments. During impeachment, it's the Senate who actually holds the trials to determine if the President or other federal officials should be removed from office. I'll talk a little bit about the legislative branch, and then we're going to move on to the judiciary branch. Judiciary branch, according to USA.gov, the judiciary branch consists of Supreme Court, lower courts, special courts, and court support organizations. The main function is to explain and apply the laws. The Supreme Court consists of a Chief Justice and Associate Justices, the number of which is determined by Congress. The current number is 8. The current key Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is the Honorable John G. Roberts. Lower courts include the Judicial Panel, Multi-District Litigation, U.S. Bankruptcy Courts, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, U.S. Court of International Trade, U.S. Court of Appeals, U.S. District Courts, U.S. Federal Courts, which are broken down by geographic location. Some of the special courts include the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces, U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Affairs, and U.S. Court for Federal Claims, and the U.S. Tax Court. The court support offices are mainly administrative functions. Now to talk a little bit about the judiciary branch, I'd like to wrap this up. what we talked about today is the way that our government's broken down, including the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, and their important roles in making sure that our day-to-day lives are able to continue. So, all comments to the floor.